My name is Seth Olinsky. I'm here at Treefort Music Fest. Mainly a guitar player, singer, songwriter. As a younger musician, I studied jazz performance, mainly jazz guitar, but I've always sort of been a composer and songwriter and sort of exploring those things. I moved to New York after school and started a band called Akron Family. So that's what I spent sort of the formative years of my life, recording and playing with Akron Family, touring. We're based out of New York for the most of it. We put out our first records on a label called Young God Records and worked with a musician named Michael Girard, who was known for Swans. Who ended up producing our records and releasing them, and we ended up just really working really well with him, so we ended up becoming sort of his band, which was called Angels of Light at the time, and recording with him and going on tour where Akron Family would open up, and then we would come back on stage and play with Michael as Angels of Light. So that was sort of in between when Swan stopped and has since started again. More recently, I started a band called Dune, which is sort of a rock and roll project. I was living in Tucson at the time and sort of getting into desert mythology, and I was trying to record this sort of folky or primitive record. I was really into Delta blues stuff at the time, and it wasn't really going very well. And then for Christmas, my mom gave me Patti Smith's Just Kids, and I read it and I got really inspired, and I was like, screw this. And so I plugged in, and all of a sudden the song started working really well, and just sort of started this rock and roll project. And I don't know, I got reinvigorated with the spirit and the sort of the purity and the power of rock and roll and what it can do. My girlfriend's a musician and an artist as well, Ali Belitik, and she was doing some installations in the desert at the time, and she had some ideas to do these big drum pieces, and so I helped her with that and sort of got back into doing larger ensemble work. I've worked with this other composer who's originally from New York, named Reese Chatham. He was like 60s Soho. He worked with Morton Subotnick. He went on to write this 100 guitar orchestra and then 200 and 400. And I actually brought him to the States, or helped bring him to the States in 2007 to do the first 100 guitar performance in my hometown in Pennsylvania. So that leads up to being here at Treefort. I'll be performing with Dune, and then as well I'm doing this composition of mine called Band Dialogue. It's the third one. It's a piece written for multiple bands to play simultaneously. This is the third Band Dialogue. The first one we did at an amazing festival that my friend Grayson started in North Carolina called Hopscotch, which feels similar to Treefort to me. It's like everything's walkable. There's so many cool bands. You discover so many cool bands. You see so many of your friends. So it was really great to do it there the first time, and we did it with a lot of great bands set up in the street, a shut down street. Pontiac played, and then the second one was at Treefort last year, and that was amazing. Eric set us up at the skate park as part of Skatefort, and it was awesome. We were under the overpass. It was totally reverberant and crazy sounding, and we ran it off generators. And both times it was really cool with Band Dialogue that they were part of the festival, but they were open to the public, and so you had the people that were there that were there for the festival, and there was also a lot of public people, kids, older people, and it was really nice because you could see, even though some of the ideas of the music are kind of avant-garde, you could see sort of bringing that many people together and this sort of inherent joy and that kind of volume and expression. And I don't know, it really seems to cut through to people of all walks of life, whether or not they know the specific musical references or whatever. And so this year, like the first one, we're going to be in a shut-down street, which will be really cool. And then for the first time, instead of the bands lined up going all the way down in one big line, we're going to divide half the bands on one side of the street facing the other half on the other side of the street, which opens up a whole lot of possibilities of moving sound around. And I'm hoping we'll get the audience all around the bands, and maybe if we can figure out, without making it too chaotic, let them sort of walk down in between. Because you get this really cool sensation when oftentimes all the bands are doing the same thing and it's very simple, so you're not really hearing the musicians being specifically expressive with the melody they're playing or the part they're playing, but you can really hear the difference of each band playing one of these simple parts, because this band has synthesizer and is more electronic, and this is more of a metal band, and you hear the timbre and the tone and sort of the style. So it's this really cool harmonic timbral fabric of the simplicity, bringing out a lot of the details of each band, but it's all happening together. Which is a big part of the piece for me as well, besides musically, is just sort of the spirit of taking all these bands that are so dedicated to what they do individually, and often bands play with each other on the same show, but getting them together to sort of spontaneously see what happens when, we all do something at the same time, mostly coordinated.
Okay, so we're here today working on band dialogue. This is Grove and 11th. They have the street shut down. We loaded in earlier today around 1, set all the bands up. Got to do a talk through, explain the basic concepts of the piece, the tunings, how it was going to work out. In general, the rehearsal went pretty flawlessly. We lost power at one point, but other than that, we just moved through each movement, basically talking about the concept, running it, working out the kinks. The music is really pretty simple, so I feel like it's less about everybody grasping the individual thing they're going to be doing on their instrument and more about grasping how the whole thing goes together, and so they can sort of bring their musical energy to it. But overall, I thought it sounded really amazing. As you can see, all sorts of different types of bands, all sorts of different type of gear here, it went really great.
This is Steve from Delicate Steve, and we're here with two of the drummers in the band Dialogue, Booker Stardrum.
Hey, how you doing?
And Dana Valatka.
Oh, hi.
Booker is playing drums in the A section, and Dana is in the B section, and they're sort of the percussion leaders of the whole ensemble.
This is my second time doing this.
Dana and I have done last year's performance underneath the overpass next to the skate park, and this is Booker's first performance. He's very excited, he told me.
Extremely.
We're hoping the audience is as excited about this rock and roll performance as they were last year.
I think they're going to be more excited.
I think it's in a more centralized location, so we're going to get some crossover, some foot traffic that we wouldn't have gotten last year, and I think that's going to carry over to just a full house of people, especially since this is live.
I think that people will be as excited as we are excited, so the key is for us to be as excited as possible.
Yeah.